Morning, class. I'm Gunnar Sergeant Pfister, and we are going to go over Lab 2. In this Lab 2, we're going to be configuring our ESXi hosts. The ultimate objective of this is to be able to configure the vSwitch inside of your ESXi hosts, as well as the data stores that you're going to need for the environment. The first task we are going to do is we're going to hop into that workstation that we created. I have Google Chrome installed, and that's what I'm going to use. So what we're going to do is we're going to log into our ESXi hosts. So HTTPS student number mu ESXi01. The goal of this is we're going to try to utilize the host names. This will let us know if we've set up our DNS server correctly. All right, we're going to get, this is the standard splash screen you're going to get. It's talking about your connections not private. That's related to certificates. We're going to click the advanced button right here, and then we're going to click proceed. From here, we're going to utilize that username and the password that we set up when we first installed this. So username is going to be root, and our password is going to be the Marines password twice. All right, in here, you are now, when you first log into your ESXi host for the first time, you're going to get this help us improve VMware Works VMware host client. All we're going to do is we're going to uncheck the block here, and we're going to press OK. So now you are inside of your ESXi hosts. The second task for this lab is we're going to start configuring that vSwitch. So we're going to do them one at a time. So here inside of your first ESXi host, we're going to come over here to the little ribbon on the left hand side, and you're going to click the networking. On our top ribbon, we're looking for the VM kernel NICs, which is going to be this little tab right here. You're going to click this. Inside of here, you are going to start building your VM kernel NICs, and you're going to refer to your lab data sheet. We're going to create our vMotion, our provisioning, and our vSAN. You're going to do this for both host 1 and 2, and all you're going to do is do vMotion and provisioning for your host 3. So when you're looking at it, you're going to notice that there's a vSwitch and a DV switch on your lab data suite, on your lab data sheet. Be sure not to confuse these two types of switches. We're going to configure that DV switch later. So I'm going to go through my first one. So I'm going to click the add VM kernel NIC. It's talking about a port group name. This is where you're going to name it. So the first one I'm going to create is my vMotion. We're going to leave our virtual switch as default. Our VLAN ID, we're going to refer to our lab data sheet. So for instance, my vMotion is 1, I'm student 12 and 5. We're going to leave our MTU default. We're going to leave it default for IPv4. But here in the IPv4 settings, we're going to change this to static. We're going to put our IP address in here, 172.18. Whatever your student number is, 131. And then our subnet mask is going to be 224. It's going to be that /27. Because we are configuring our vMotion, we're going to come down here to our services, and we're going to make sure and check the vMotion service. We're going to click create. That creates our first one. Our second, our VMK2. If you look at your lab data sheet, it's going to be provisioning. Same thing, vMswitch 0. This VLAN ID is going to be, for me, because I'm student 12, 1126. Change it to static, expand that out. I'm looking at 172.18.12.161, and then we're going that /27. And then we're going to check the provisioning service. Go ahead and click create, see, creates that. And then we're going to do our vSAN. VLAN ID for vSAN is 1, student number, and 7. IP address 172.18. I'm student 12. before. And as you see, because we don't have the service started, it's not going to show up here in services. So you're just going to leave it blank. Go ahead and click create. All right, now that we've created that, we're going to repeat these steps for host 2. So https 12mu ESXi 02. And I'm going to open up my other tab for 03 as they're talking. All right, so you see connection is not private. We're going to hit advanced. We're going to proceed. And we'll do the same thing here just to get to the login screen. Root, Marines password. The CEIP, customer experience improvement program. We're going to uncheck that, press OK. Come down here to networking, VM kernel NICs. We're going to add those kernels. So vMotion, our VLAN. Gonna do my IPv4 172.18.12.132. Same subnet mask, service vMotion. Next one, port group provisioning. Input our VLAN, make her static, 172.18.12.162, add our subnet mask, and our service for provisioning. And then our vSAN. vSAN. '17 static 172.18.202 24 vSAN. And like in the previous one, because there's no service, we're just going to leave it blank and we're going to create. Now we're going to log into our ESXi host 03. Remember with this one, we are not going to create the vSAN inside of our VM kernel. So VM kernel, we're going to add 03. We're going to go vMotion 1125 172.18.12.133 vMotion. Our second one, provisioning VLAN ID, student number 6, static IP 163. Provisioning. Remember, do not create the vSAN one here. So once we are done with all 3 of our ESXi hosts inside of ESXi 03, we're going to come over to here to port groups. And this is specifically only to ESXi 03 because this is where we will install our vCenter server appliance. We're going to come in here and we're actually going to create a port group. And we're going to name that port group VCSA interface. And then the VLAN, we're going to go 1, 0, and then our student number. Go ahead and click add. And then what we're going to do is there's the VM network port group. We're going to delete that. So at the end, your ESXi 03 should look like mine. We should have the VCSA interface. We should have our provisioning. We should have our vMotion, and then we should have our management network. Task 3, we are going to configure our data store. So when you're looking at ESXi 01, we're going to come here to storage. If you have a data store showing up in here, you're going to rename that ESXi 0 whatever host you are on underscore data center or data store. If you don't have that data store on there, because this is the data store that ESXi is installed on there, don't worry about that. Check 02. If it's not in there, don't worry about it. But more importantly, here on 03, we're going to create a data store inside of here, because this is where we're going to start installing some things that we're going to utilize in the later labs. So you're going to click New Data Store. We're going to create a new VMFS data store. We're going to name it services underscore DS. You're going to choose the only hard drive that you can see, which is that one 200 gig hard drive that we set up earlier. Click Next. We're going to use the full disk VMFS6. We're going to click Next, and then we're going to click Finish. It's going to give you this warning, hey, the entire contents of this disk are about to be erased and replaced with the specific configurations. Are you sure about this? Yes. As you see there, it has been created, and welcome and congratulations on finishing Lab 2.